Hello, thank you for tuning into my channel. I'm working on a name badge for my Quilt Guild meetings today. So if you want to see how I created this name badge, please stay tuned. So right now, this is just a rough draft of what I think this project is going to be. I am making um, a name badge for my Quilt Guild meetings because if you don't wear one, then you have to pay a fine of $1. So I'm making the my own label. I've decided to take some inspiration from a quilt that I previously made with the alphabet quilt. I'll put a picture of it in the video here. I made little graphs of each of the letters, and so I only printed the pages that had the letters that I needed. So I was looking for E, R, I, C, and A, and on each one of these it has the number of um, accent squares, which is the color, and then the number of background squares. And in some cases, there are half square triangles as well, like on the letter C. So I have already chosen my fabrics for this, and I'm using this orange. This is one of the fabrics that I got from um, New Orleans when I went to New Orleans. And it actually says it's from Japan, so that's really cool, a Japanese fabric. And for my background, I'm using this Moda Grunge, basic gray grunge for Moda fabrics. And it also says made in Japan, which I think is really cool. And these fabrics, they'll go nicely together to create the look that I'm going for. My letters, as I said before, they use solid squares and then a couple half square triangles. So in order to make this kind of small, I'm not sure of the exact finish size, I've cut 1 inch squares that will be my solid squares in the badge, and I've already cut them here, and then I've cut 6 1.5 inch squares that I'm going to use to make half square triangles. So in my mind, what I have to do is make the letters, then put little strips of sashing between the letters, add a border, and then I'll probably do some batting or something to quilt the whole thing with a small piece of backing fabric. And then I'll need to figure out how I want to make the strap that's going to go around my neck. So that's what I'm going to work on. I'll start first with the half square triangles. And to do that, I'm going to draw a line on the back of each one of these light fabrics, stitch on either side. But you've seen me do that before. So I'll go off camera, make the half square triangles, and then we'll do the next step. At this point, I've made my half square triangles, and I'm cutting off the dog ears as I go. I pressed the seams open here, you can see that. And I'm starting to lay out my letters. I'm using the templates that I created here to make the letters. I have the E done, and so now I'm working on the R. And I'm showing them, I'm doing them right now upside down, but when I take them to the machine, I will I'll have them facing the right way so I know which way to stitch. I'm going to finish laying out my whole name, and then I'll show it to you, then we'll go to the machine. I've laid out all of my squares in the order that they're going to be for the letters. For the most part, I tried to have the flowers all going the same way, but then when I got to the end down here on the A, there are a couple that are upside down. I think that it won't matter because these blocks are going to be so small. They should finish at about 1/2 inch. So from this point, I'm going to sew each letter together. You could do this. I could have done this by making larger panels, but I just went ahead and did the strips because I already had, I did the squares because I already had it laid out on paper. So I'm going to sew each letter together, and then I'll show you before I put the sashing in between. I have the letters all done now. They've shrunk quite a bit. but you can see each one of the letters now. Look at that little E and so on. My next step, I'm going to add some borders, not borders, some sashing around in between the letters and then around the outside. And I'm also going to add a larger border. I think I'm going to do the background in 1-inch strips, unfinished, and then this is going to be 1.5-inch all the way around, and then we'll see how we can make it a quilted panel. I finished up my panel with my letters, and then I put batting and backing. Here's the back, and I did some simple quilting, and then I started to put a little bit of binding at the top of this. To make my binding, this is kind of a quasi binding, it's not a true quilt binding. I actually did, I took a 1.5-inch piece of my fabric here, and then I pressed it in half, and then I unfolded it and then pressed both of the edges in half. Then I gave it a big press like this. Okay, so I'm going to go around the other 3 sides, and I used my my Wonder Clips before, but I think that it's going to be more secure if I pin it. So I'm going to pin it all around, so all around the 3 sides here, and then the rest of it is going to be my kind of like my necklace, so it hangs on my neck. So I'll finish that, and then I'll show you what it looks like. Here is my finished name badge. I have created the letters in patchwork, and then I bordered it with a pseudo batting or kind of like a bias tape kind of thing. And I did there are 2 levels of stitching, of top stitching here. One to attach the binding to it, and then another one just to create a little bit more, I guess, of a statement. The only thing that I might do different if I made another one is make this part a little bit thicker with maybe some interfacing or something, I don't know. But I really like the way it turned out. The only thing I have to do now is add my my ribbons that I've already earned for this year in the Guild. So I really love it. It's really cute. If you have any questions about this or anything else in quilting, hopefully I can answer it. Please leave it in the comments below. Thumbs up this video and share it with your friends. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye!